we're live, guys. This is Since Then, episode 2, and I have here Chris London.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Why don't you give everyone an introduction?
I'm Chris London, born and raised here in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, from Big Rapids originally.
Ooh.
Moved around a little bit. Went to the Army, I think I was 19 when I went off to basic. Got out, did some other stuff.
Ooh, what's other stuff?
Well, right before I went to the military, I did some firefighting, got involved with firefighting. So I took basic fireman 2 courses, got involved with the volunteer fire department. And then that was kind of my goal for when I got out of the military was to get back into doing that. So right after I got out, I went to college up in Cadillac. I got my EMT there, and I started working part-time EMS for 2 different companies. And the goal was just trying to get towards a full-time fire department, which I eventually did.
Dang, double threat.
Yeah, and then I moved on from there.
Moved on, okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, how long has it been since your military career?
So it started I actually enlisted in 2011. Okay. I didn't go to basic until 2012 just because of the delayed entry program.
Same.
And then I was active for 3.5. So I got out in 2015, but I re-enlisted into the National Guard. So I'm still in. Still in the Army National Guard.
Ooh, nasty girls, huh?
Yeah. It's a different breed. It's much different in many ways, but maybe that's just the units I've been.
Better? Much better?
Much more relaxed.
Much more relaxed.
And I'm sure to the despise of many active guys out there. But when you're only going to drill, 2-3 days a month, and then 2 weeks in the summer. Like nobody wants to go to drill, and it just suck all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to do something and you're required by contract to do it, and you only have to do it every 2 weeks, you're like,
It's not bad. For anybody that's not willing to stay in active duty, I would definitely recommend looking into options for Army and Air Force National Guard or any other reserve unit, because there's no other part-time job in the world where you can get a partial pension and cheap healthcare, potential retirement healthcare benefits.
Big money numbers.
Yeah, you got to think long term.
Long term is very good. Yeah, awesome, man. That sounds like a solid military career. So what are you doing now?
Now I'm a public safety officer for a decent sized city in Michigan.
Okay.
So I'm a law enforcement officer, and then we also do and we also do firefighting and medical first response.
So for you, this is like your bread and butter. So military, EMS, fire, and now you're just being a civilian officer.
Yeah, I would definitely say everything I did up to this point has definitely helped out and given me skills that were very sought after and have really helped me out in starting my current job. The working EMS, it was in a rural area, but being an EMT with a paramedic in a rural area, you get to do a lot. You got to handle a lot of things. And then when I was full-time fire for 3 years, so I had a decent amount of fire experience. And then the military, it's military and police work don't exactly just cross over, right?
But there's carry guns, right?
But there's a lot of skills, tactics, weapons knowledge. It's interesting going through like police academy and stuff.
Post-military.
You always hear those stories about guys that go to college after they've been in the military, and it's just like they're in a class with a bunch of 18-year-olds. It's kind of like that.
Gap. Yeah, it's definitely a generation gap, a knowledge gap for sure. But it's more, for me, I would say, life experience gap.
Yeah, and I think life experiences are huge, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more. But
yeah,
get out of your hometown. Even if you come back, get out, see parts of the world, parts of the country, experience different cultures, different ways of thinking. It's all very, very important, because if you just sit in one area, like that's all you're ever going to know.
Yeah. Well, your perspective size is so small.
Yeah. You got to open that lens up. Open that perspective lens.
If you live in a town of 1,000, that's 1,000. That's it. That's all you know. Just 1,000 people. Anyway, sir. So it's been a pretty interesting ride for you, sir. So, what do you think mattered to you back then?
Going into the military?
Yeah, going into the military, like you sign the dotted line, you're like, man, this is my calling, or not.
So I'll give you a little further backstory on
let's
that.
do it.
So I was homeschooled.
Oh,
Yeah, all the way through high school.
Did you love it?
No, I
No?
didn't love it. I gotta get.
You had a lot of friends.
No,
Your teachers okay?
they're all right. No,
Did you ever get grounded from school?
no
you
snow
didn't
days.
get suspended?
No snow days.
Dang,
No
dude.
suspensions.
Suspensions are the best.
You just gotta do it all.
You gotta stay home.
So my senior year of high school, I went to a career center through the local intermediate school district because I wanted to be a police officer. So I went there for the public safety program, and that's where I got introduced to firefighting. So everybody in my family has a college degree. I mean, my dad, my mom,
A lot
brothers, sisters. I'm currently the only one that I know of in my immediate family that does not have a college degree, but college isn't everything. But I went to Ferris, which Ferris State University is
Ferris
in my home. No, Ferris State University.
Where's that?
It's in my hometown, Big Rapids,
Oh,
and they have a pretty good criminal justice program. Because again, I wanted to originally go into law enforcement,
yeah, that makes sense.
and I went to school there for about a month, and I hated it.
Oh.
And I withdrew. I had paybacks. It was still within some windows, but I had to pay some money back. So I withdrew and I enlisted in the army
Wow.
because I just
Same day?
I was close. I don't think it was the same day, but it was close.
This is not it.
Yeah.
Anything
So
else?
I really didn't want to go to school at that time, and the military was always something that I was attracted to. Just watching movies and TV, and I remember watching the invasion of Iraq when I was a kid. I remember seeing the towers fall. I felt a call for service, and I wanted to go out and get out of my hometown and experience things and serve my country at the same time, which probably sounds pretty cliche, but
No, I mean, a lot of people want to do that. They want to have a bigger purpose, and that's a good way to do it. I mean, some
Yeah.
people like the Peace Corps, some people like the military.
well, I don't fault anybody for what routes they take because so much of life is trial and error.
Yeah, you
And
took a route. I mean, it's better than staying in your hometown. I mean, the gas station always needs people to run it.
that is true, but
Doesn't mean it
You
has
only
to be you.
you only get so far working at the gas station. It's a stepping stone.
Pretty low change pretty fast.
Everywhere is a stepping stone.
Everywhere can be a stepping stone if you choose to step.
Absolutely, and that's choosing to make that step and be all that you can be, but going further and progressing yourself and
Love
being.
that.
I mean, what's the point of life if we're not trying to get better all the time?
Right, so you want to be a popo, and then you tried to do the school route for that, and then you hated it immediately.
Yeah, I hated college. It was terrible.
Do you remember any of that schooling? Does it seem like the stuff you're doing now?
So that was in the very first semester, and I don't think we even got into any criminal justice stuff.
Oh, you were doing like math still?
It was basic stuff. It was there was like an English 150, a math something.
yeah.
There's a psychology or something, and
So if your parents taught it, would it be better for you?
no,
Okay. So no homeschool police learning?
no.
Okay.
But I also, as I progressed through that public safety program in high school, I found out that firefighting seemed way more fun.
Oh yeah. Running burning
So
buildings, six-pack,
Calendars,
on the pole.
no.
fireman
so
calendar.
Where's
Where's it at? Where's your fireman
No,
calendar?
I don't have one. That's yeah. But my desire to do law enforcement kind of dropped off, and the fire interest increased dramatically. But the thing was, I knew firefighting and law enforcement; those are always going to be there, and there was stuff going on in the world that I wanted to go into the military now, and accomplish some things and feel like I made a difference.
Damn.
So and.
Okay.
I think people can say whatever they want about
Who cares? Who cares what people
places
say?
and things, but
You did it.
I feel like we did something and made a difference. So
Heck yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it.
No, man. So you chose the military. What about your parents? What do they think? Homeschooled for so many years. Everyone's got a criminal justice type degree, right? Or degree at least.
No, I'm the first one in my family to do, other than like a great uncle somewhere. I'm the first one to do like fire, law enforcement stuff.
Okay, so everyone else just does whatever things.
Yeah, it's a mix of things. But when I first went to the military, my dad was not very happy about it.
Did he expect college of you?
Yes. So
Interesting.
schooling was very, very much, I don't want to say pressured, but suggested and guided. And my dad had been in the military, and he was always a very strong proponent of having a strong military,
Discipline?
but not his kids, I guess.
Interesting.
And
so he wanted to be the guy, not you guys.
I guess. I don't think he had the greatest experience when he was in the military. But it was interesting to see as time progressed and as I went through the military and deployed and came back, and his perspective changed quite a bit.
Wow,
And I would almost say it was a 180. And it was just, I think that was eye-opening for him also.
awesome, man. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So you chose a different path. You know, whatever your parents said, what was expected of you, and you said, I want to do this. I feel my purpose is this way. Damn, bro, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's important to choose your own path, and everybody needs a little bit of guidance and pushes here and there, and you need those people to like. Not everybody always knows what they want to do. I mean, one of my brothers changed his major in college 10 times or something, but and life is trial and error, so you can't always just stay in your hometown or just do what somebody else expects you to do, because the other thing is you got to be happy doing what you're doing.
Yeah, man, that mattered to you. That really did matter to you. Happiness and a sense of purpose mattered to you. And you feel like you were lacking that before.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. So, what matters now, man? Do you feel like you got those things?
Yeah, I definitely got a sense of purpose out of my service, active Army, and I think that's part of the reason I stayed in the National Guard, because you're still serving, but you can still come back and do what you want to do on the civilian side. So you can still serve your country, and again, there's a lot of great benefits, and there's education benefits, all those types of things. Because now, even though as much as I hated college, I've started to take online classes and do online school in the meantime, because in today's world, college and a degree is going to be extremely helpful in any potential progression or other lines of work you want to do. But my focus has, especially recently, because I started this new job within the last year, so there's a lot of
Public safety officer.
yes, there's a lot of training. It's very rigorous. Lots of training, multiple steps and phases that you have to get through and pass all of them, and it's not, not everybody passes all those steps. So my focus has been there, but the reason I'm still in public safety and still in the National Guard is because I still have that call for service, I guess.
That drive.
I like helping people. It's awesome to be there on somebody's worst day and be able to help them, fix a problem or be there for somebody.
Hell yeah, man.
And it's there's I don't I'm not the greatest with words.
No,
and
man,
doing
it's
it
fine.
all.
So you're I feel like you're saying that right now you still have that happiness that you're getting, and your sense of duty is being fulfilled.
Yes, it's
So it matters. Like, you're doing exactly what you want to do. Like, what makes you happy, you're crushing it.
right. And I mean, what's that old saying? If what you do makes you happy, or if you're happy at work, do you even really work a day in your life? I mean, a lot of days, you still feel like you're working, but there's a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction from what you're doing. And if you're not getting that,
What are you doing?
yeah, I think you gotta find out what skills you need to get, what makes you happy, and how to be able to get there. Yeah, because if you're just Do you live to work, or do you work to live?
Right, dude. That's really a profound statement. You got to think about that and make that your own. Make that your own, man. I am so stoked for you, bro. Like continuing your own service, like doing.
I appreciate that.
No, doing what you need to do. I feel like you're saying you need to do this. Like it makes you a better person, and helping other people makes them better, right?
Yeah. I mean,
well, hopefully. I mean, this is all like theoretical here, but.
Right. And I mean, there's lots of different aspects, especially being public safety. You have 3 different jobs, basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You do all 3, right? Fireman, EMT, and Popo.
Yeah. So there's multiple different types of reactions you get out of people depending on what type of line of work you're doing.
Yeah.
But either way, being able to help people, and yeah, I don't know, words.
No, but that's cool, man. I'm glad. That's awesome. So yeah, we'll transition. So, what's your perspective for between, how you feel in the military and how you feel about the military now? So, like before you joined, what did you think?
I mean, I guess I just thought it was really badass.
Yeah. Did you have that scout video get you?
When I went to MEPS, I originally went. I'm just gonna go infantry, right? And I get there, and like we're all in the room, and the head recruiter dude or whatever's there, and he's like, "I know all y'all probably want infantry, but guess what? It's not available." And we're all just like, "What? How is infantry not available?" So
really,
I sit down and you sit down individually and talk to these recruiter guys, and yeah, they played me the scout video. I was like, sure. I was like, sure, that looks cool. And
if you guys don't know, like the scout video is the SF training video. Yeah. Like they bullshitted, they bait and switched everybody. They took the special forces guys video of all what they do, and they're like, but this is scouts. Wink, wink. So you got suckered in with the ghillie suit, right? And
there's like 3 guys that pop up out of the grass. I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah, bro. It does look cool.
It does look cool.
Did you do that?
No ghillie suits.
No ghillie suits.
I think you could take a small percentage of scouts, and some of them got to do those things. So it worked out for some people.
All right. Before we go over, explain what Cavalry Scout is to everybody who is dutifully uninformed.
Oh, man. So
not horses.
Cavalry Scout 19 Delta is the MOS in the Army. The history comes from
riding horses.
Right. The old cavalry. Right, the old cavalry back in the day, because Cav Scouts are supposed to be highly mobile units. Maneuver, security elements. And the problem is, by doctrine, what Cav Scouts do, we don't do anymore, because...
You don't have horses.
Well, no. That too. But what Cav Scouts are supposed to do is in an atypical warfare, which is, the USA is fighting another country. It's uniformed army versus uniformed army. You have your main element moving out, and Cav Scouts are either the element that's out in front, and so they find the enemy first instead of just being ambushed, or they're along the flanks, and when the main element does take contact, they're highly mobile cavalry. They can move up, sweep across in a flanking movement, and then come back and do those types of things. That's kind of roughly by doctrine what Cav Scouts are supposed to do.
So less foot power and more driving power.
I mean, it depends.
For us, I know we did both, but
yes.
In the traditional sense, cavalry takes a Humvee or an MRAP or whatever type of vehicle to try to maneuver on the enemy in the best, most tactical response.
And they're across the like we were a light cav unit, but I don't know if there's more, but there's definitely plenty of heavy cav units, which is probably more specific to the atypical type warfare type thing.
Yeah, so our fort base, whatever it was, 4th Brigade turned into 2nd Brigade, and we were a light cav unit, so we used like Humvees and stuff like that and MRAPs, and then they switched over to tanks, which would be technically heavy, so a heavy cavalry unit. So they're all running tanks where we used to live.
Yeah, glad I got out of there.
Yeah.
It sounds miserable.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a tank either. That seems crazy, man. I hated being stuck in the back of an MRAP. So I can only imagine. I mean, you were driven around a Mat V, right?
I started with Jameson in
Yeah.
the Mavi, and then I got moved to the Senior Scout truck, so I was driving the Max Pro.
Oh yeah, the giant tanks. Might as well be a damn tank.
But they're all right.
Yeah. All right, man. So your perspective going in was you thought I was the fucking badass. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna do that thing. I'm gonna save those people, right?
Got suckered in.
God damn. All right, man. So what do you think now? What's your perspective nowadays?
So just like in so many things, I think it depends on the individual and what they make of it. You can go into the army and you can put in the whole effort and you can be that badass, or you can go in and be like, wow, this sucks, and have a poor attitude about everything, and you can do the bare minimum and you can be a shitty soldier, and you can, life can just suck, and all you can do is wait for your ETS date. And you could be a drag on your fellow soldiers and your leadership, making their job harder, and then everything just sucks more. I was not the stellar soldier on active duty. I'm sure you remember.
Hey, honestly, this guy right here, this guy was the soldier.
No,
like he did the book. Like what was the book? He read it and then told you the book. He was proficient in everything he needed to do, and didn't have to be proficient in anything he didn't have to do. I mean, you were overly proficient in things you didn't have to do, man.
I would say
that was your style, man. Two people below you, two people above you, and you know their jobs.
I think it's 2 levels down, 1 level up, I think is what they always said. So you can always fill in any gaps. If somebody gets hurt or sick or something, you can always fill in their job. And then if your team leader or squad leader is out, you can fill in those positions, because it's a natural hierarchy. If something happens in war, somebody's gotta, if the lieutenant gets taken out, somebody's gotta be in charge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which somebody usually else is already in charge anyway.
Yeah, but you were that guy. Honestly, I remember you being that guy. Like, if anyone was squared away, had the right shit on, doing the right thing, it was you. I never seen you do anything wrong.
Well,
that I knew about.
I especially on deployment, I definitely tried to work hard. The mentality I try to keep is I want to be, when I walk into a room, I want to know that I'm the hardest working person in that room. And if I'm not, it better be because, King over here is working 10 times harder than me, and I'm just like, wow. And I applaud that. But I don't want to be outworked by the people that are just doing, I can't be doing mediocre, right?
No, you got to be doing above average.
So working hard, being proficient in things you need to be proficient in, because in war it's literally life or death.
Yeah, totally.
If King over here was a shitty medic, somebody could have died.
Yeah, people did die, but thank God it was not in my hands. I was too late before I even happened, man. Anyways, you fucking crushed it. You crushed in deployment, man. What did you think about deployment? I'm just trying to reminisce, man. I remember we hung out, we had some talks at night. We didn't really see each other that much.
Yeah, so you stayed over there with the command, in the not so smelly barracks.
I had my bubble.
You had your bubble, which that's all right. Deserve it. Deployment was honestly. So right when I came to Fort Stewart,
Georgia.
Yeah. Oof. So I got done with OSED at Fort Benning, and then they're like, Georgia. "Oh yeah, you're just going down the road."
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of the South. The humidity kills me. But we get there, and it was like in 2 weeks we were going to JRTC. And they're like, "Yeah, we're deploying to Afghanistan." And I was stoked. I was like, "Woo!" And then I had this realization. I'm like, "It's 2013. It's been 12 years since we went to Afghanistan." I was like, and then I heard the stories from the guys in the unit who had deployed the last time to Iraq, and they just sat in a tower and they guarded a CP or something.
Be real. Where you at?
And I was like, great. Like, we're literally gonna go over there and sit in a tower for 9 months. And we got there, and I was like, okay, wow, we're actually. But it started out slow. We did a lot of that route clearance, security crap, and then the airfield got hit, and the op tempo skyrocketed.
I remember that. I remember I remember getting to Fort Stewart in about October 2012. And I'd gotten there, and everyone had talked about the previous deployment, and I was like, man, I am never going on deployment. No one has ever heard of this base I'm at. I am in the middle of the swamp. I don't know where the hell anything is, and I'm in the complete opposite side of the United States from where I used to live in Oregon. And I'm like, this, I mean, it was less of a culture shock and more just like a realization that I'm stuck in a swamp and I'm going to hate my life. So I'm sitting there in October and November, and then all of a sudden, like, in a couple months, like December hits, we go back, wherever that was, go on leave, and then we come back, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, hey man, we got orders. I was like, orders for what? Deployment. I was like, where? No, you're lying. Afghanistan? I was like, we're still going over there? Don't lie to me. And I was like, no way. And I got like stuck on with you guys, and then you came a little bit right afterwards. But I was brand new, and I was like, no idea what's going on. And we went to GRTC, and I was like, this is fun. No, I'm joking. It was terrible. It was just more swamp in Louisiana.
GRTC sucked.
Yeah, just you go from one swamp to a different swamp, and you expect it to be different. Now, I'll tell you what, the mosquitoes are just the same size. They're giant. They fly. They hit you, and that's what I remember from that base. And then going into deployment, I remember getting off the plane and then hearing rockets hit the ground, and I went, what? Everyone's like, get down. I'm like, get down for what? Get down for who? Why am I on the ground? And people were, launching rockets at us, and they nicknamed that place Rocket City. So it was lit. It was definitely lit over there. And my perspective changed immediately. I went, okay, this is not a lackadaisical place where we're just sitting around and doing something, like doing nothing, and sitting on our toes. Like, this is some active engagements. Like, people are literally trying to kill us as we speak, every single minute of every single day.
I mean, it's crazy how you get so immune to it also. Because as we, when Fobshank was nicknamed Rocket City, because I think it was the most hit base
ever
between Afghanistan and Iraq, the most hit with indirect fire at
I honestly,
over there.
I think Israel is probably the only one who's got rocketed more than us. Maybe Syria lately, but holy fucking shit.
It was every day.
Every day. Multiple
times a day. And, what you're supposed to do when this happens is they have all these little concrete bunkers laying around.
Created those.
Yeah.
That's the Navy's
so the alarm goes up. There's incoming radar, and the alarm goes off, and everybody's supposed to run over. Well, I mean, I don't know, by the last halfway through, I don't know. Everybody just kind of like, it'd be the middle of the night. We just probably got back an hour or two earlier from our, whatever patrol we were doing. And this crap goes off, and everybody just kind of like decided at one point, like, we're just gonna lay there, and then like you didn't hear a boom, or it was nowhere close to you. The tent's still in one piece, and we're just like, man. And then like the platoon sergeant comes through, and he just like makes sure everybody's still in their bunk. He's like, you good? Okay, go back to sleep.
I mean, the thing to do after a certain point of like, you go out there and you have kinetic contact. People are shooting at you. People are trying to blow you up, and you go back to your base, and people are still trying to blow you up. But like, the chances are really slim. This is a 10 square mile base, and these rockets are maybe this big. Just depends on which ones they shoot at you. And you're like, well, I can hear it, and it goes. If you hear no sound, then you get down because it's coming on you. But if you keep hearing you're good. Just wait for the boom and just hope it's not you. And we did that after a while because you don't care. You don't care anymore. You're numb to it.
You get so desensitized to it, and I think you also get to a point where you're just like, I mean, I'm on the base. If a rocket's gonna hit me today, and me getting on the ground really isn't gonna change a whole lot.
No,
but it does bring up an important point of not getting,
too complacent.
Not getting complacent.
Yeah.
And I mean,
did you feel complacent?
I feel like we started to in the last month.
Yeah.
Especially when we were doing the handoff, and I felt that like a little bit within our platoon, but then also across the whole squadron. I felt like that was happening with some events that occurred.
I mean, if you're done, you're done. We had a 9-month deployment, and I would say roughly about 6 months of that was nonstop missions, days on end, firefights back to back, I.E.Ds, all the fun stuff, like all the stuff that you would say a deployment is worth.
Yeah, and
good
it's. I
people
mean,
are.
I've talked to other guys, and I mean, by no means would I say our deployment is like
The thing.
near
No,
the top
no,
of
it's just a deployment.
conflict, but
We are regular soldiers.
We had a regular mission. We were responsible for an AO. We were the battle space owners for that. That's what we did. The mission was mostly counter IDF, so it was go sit
Counter
out,
indirect fire. That's the people shooting rockets. We were out there.
go sit
Sitting
in this
there.
area, which is a known area where they set up their mortars or their rockets. Sit out there to deter them from shooting rockets, and so it was a lot of long days.
Sitting.
16 hours in an NAI, named area of interest, and there's like 3 that you gotta handle every day. So each platoon's in one. It was busy. The op tempo
Yeah.
was very high.
Yeah, what I find interesting about that is our counter IDF. It seemed to be working for a second, and then it didn't because, like, I don't know if our place got too complacent or the enemy was always one step ahead. So they took the rockets in that named area of interest, and they would be shooting them from there. Then we showed up, and they said, "You know what? Let's try farther." So they go farther back in places that we've never been to, and then they shoot them from there, and then they still make it. And you go, how? Apparently, at one point they were shooting the rockets outside the known, like, maximum effective range of the rockets. So they had figured out these things better than the manufacturers.
Well,
that is persistence.
And the other thing too with that is, the squadron owns this area, but you can only be in out so long. You can only be in so many places at once.
Mm-hmm.
We're in their home.
Yeah.
This area is not ours. It's foreign to us. We don't know all the nooks and crannies. And you learn that as you go, and you try to, when you take over for the last unit, they try to hand off good knowledge to you, and you try to do the same for the next unit. And it's a guerrilla warfare. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to combat that type of warfare with standard
Conventional. Yeah, man, that's
armies.
I mean, we weren't in a conventional city. We were in houses made of dirt. I mean, they were beautifully constructed sometimes, but, like, we're literally fighting people who, I mean, to say anything of a Western civilization over there is rough. Like, their houses were partially electrified by car batteries. If you were lucky, they might have one light in the entire house. Like, when lights go out, when the sun goes out, that's dark. That's it. Their day is over. They have handheld cell phones with the little buttons still. Sometimes that was great technology. And so these people, they didn't have things to occupy themselves with like we do in the Western world or, more developed countries. Like this was back to, kill or be killed. And that was their everyday existence. Like, I farm, or I get killed, or I do this, or I do that. And there's only so many options. And fighting people who are, feels like killing your people, yeah, for sure. I understand. I empathize with that. That's hard to do.
In that region, again, cliche to say, everybody knows this, but they've been fighting there for hundreds and thousands of years.
Many people died.
And we found out that there were a lot of actually what we believe were Syrian fighters coming over, which was a lot of who we were dealing with. And I mean, those guys literally came over to fight. They have nothing better to do anyways. So it's not like, they have to worry about, I can fight until 11 and then I got to be back home because I got to go plow the field. They just came over to fight. And it's, if you don't believe in your mission, if America and the soldiers don't believe in what's going on, you're never going to beat an enemy that believes. And our enemy was so driven by their belief in the hatred of America and the Western civilization, and that's what makes it so difficult.
Mm-hmm. It does make it very difficult for anyone to do stuff. Like, even if it's just like we don't have to actively fight these people. There's almost 0 times we went out of our way to attack somebody. Like, we were always the ones being attacked, but that was our position. Like, we were there to receive the contact and take out the people who wanted to kill us. And there was other elements within the U.S. and other forces there that went and took it to the enemy, but that was not us. Like, we were there for intel, We were there to collect the stuff, talk to the people.
Yeah,
we were there to be there for the people. That's what we would do.
That was the guys in the video that got to go do.
Yeah, yeah. The guys in the
SF
Cav,
video.
in the SF Cav video. I don't know why they still have it for the Cavalry Scout. That's ridiculous.
We did do some cool operations here and there.
We did.
With I mean, like the FET, and I think we did some standby support for some SF guys one time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you knew those guys were going out, and you'd know because it'd be the middle of the night, and there'd be a C-130 Spectre gunship just circling. It'd be annoying as hell. It's fucking buzzing all night long.
Yeah, man. But I mean, that was their job. We had our job, they had their job, and dang.
And I think we did our job the best that we could with the resources we had available.
I agree.
I'd say people are always asking in all types of lines of work, like, do you think you are doing a good enough job? And I think in almost all cases, I'm doing a good enough job with the resources and time I have available.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything you ever learned is, part of you at some point in time, and everything you ever done led you up to that moment. So you have all that information to act upon, and you choose whether to act with all the information you're given or not. Like, you can care and go above and beyond, or you don't have to. But for us, I think me specifically, I know you specifically, like, we took all the information and then we tried to make the difference. We tried to, be the person that you should be out there. And I felt that. I felt like I was stretched thin all the time because I'm only one person, but damn if I wasn't going to try my hardest. I feel like I did. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that was my perspective from the deployment back then.
It was also, I mean, like, if I could sum it up in a phrase,
Yeah.
It was the best, worst time.
The best suck ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to find that type of camaraderie anywhere else. But I mean, and life is relatively simple, in our type of, I mean, and again, it's a totally different type of warfare than, if you were in World War II and you're pushing across the fronts,
Different.
pushing your way to Germany. Like, no, we're in an established base, there's an established supply line, food's provided.
Medical care is severely advanced. Oh my, it is years advanced.
Right.
Man.
So life for a regular soldier in, OEF 12, 13, is fairly simple. It's just, there's still the suck of, you have to go sit out in the middle of nowhere for forever, need MREs.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's some hard living though. Damn, bro. What kept you sane during deployment? It was hard for me. I watched a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows.
Yeah.
Try to hit that nostalgia button as much as possible.
I think I read some books. I remember I read Lone Survivor while I was over there. I think I had started. Yeah,
way before the movie.
Definitely read the book before the movie, because movies, in general, movies are always going to disappoint you in comparison to the book. But yeah, I don't remember doing a whole lot of different stuff. I know a lot of guys were watching a lot of TV shows and stuff like that.
Playing video games.
Yeah, we did play some. We were setting up some local LAN parties on, what was it, like an old PS3 or something?
Yeah. A lot of people had the PS3s and the Xbox, and we'd be playing like Call of Duty and whatnot.
I definitely tried to. I probably worked too much, honestly. As far as like downtime, I probably spent more time preparing for the next, more so than I maybe should have. I don't know. But like whenever we had a mounted mission, the drivers usually had to be out to the trucks like a half hour early or something. And I would usually be out there half hour to 45 minutes before that, because I wanted to make sure I had time to make sure everything on my truck was good. And if there was an issue, I had time to correct it or fix it, or, find a backup.
Well, you were the lead truck for the most part, right?
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4 months in. I got moved to the Senior Scouts truck, which was an awesome place to be. I learned a ton from multiple different Senior Scouts, and it was a good place to be. There was a lot of, as far as a driver goes, it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot of time to put into stuff. Like, I remember helping Beal out every time I could, because I'm the medic. I just sit in the back of the truck, and in the back truck, that is, and I bring my bag. That's my job. I bring my bag, and when shit happens,
Booze
I'm
cruising
there.
back there.
Yeah, no booze, but definitely cruising. Yeah, so I mean, I help set up the truck as best as possible because that is a huge responsibility for a driver. And like my responsibilities happen when someone goes down. Thankfully, that barely ever happens. Oh boy.
Yeah, and I think it's something all of us from third platoon can all be proud of is the fact of how good of a job we did at avoiding I.E.Ds, being safe,
Oh yeah.
maneuvering during contact, the communications on the command level.
Yeah, I think we as a platoon went above and beyond, especially for safety. When we're outside the wire, outside the base, we're out there in the element. You know, we could die at any point in time. Always on the toes. Always thinking the right thing. No lackadaisical feeling. There was no room for error. I mean, there was room for error, but we made that room for error on our part, not their part, and that saved our lives. That saved all of our lives. Yeah, man, that's good. So movies kept me sane for sure because we had a lot of walking. My ankle felt like it was gonna explode at one point. It was fun. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I remember. I remember watching just like stupid YouTube videos with like Guinan and I remember annoying Beal by just like playing the same like I don't know 5 Finger Death Punch or Volbeat album over and over.
Yeah, I remember that album. Oh man, you only get so much new music.
Yeah. Well, and I mean action. And we're back with video.
Yeah, with videos. Sorry guys, I am literally the worst at this. That's okay. So, yeah man, this is gonna be part 2. There's gonna be no video between the part 1, but that's okay. That's okay. This is a podcast. If you want to hear it, you'll be here. So, yeah man, we've been talking a lot about deployment and those fun times. All that fun stuff. So, let's kind of change the subject a little bit. What you and I really like to talk about health because we're pretty healthy individuals and we strive for that. And so, really, what is health to you?
So to me, health is a couple different things, because it's a combination of physical health and fitness, and you got to couple that with mental. And I think as you increase your physical fitness, I think that helps your mental fitness.
Really?
But being able to, live, to be able to get up and down without too many aches and pains. There's some things just come along the way. But for me, especially to do my job. So whether that's the military, whether it's law enforcement or firefighting, it's a much higher demand than not than all jobs, but from your average daily job. And you got to be able to do your job. Otherwise, I mean, you're literally putting your life, your partner's lives, and the civilians that you're there to protect and serve at risk because you weren't fit enough, strong enough to meet a certain level. I have a huge pet peeve for unfit first responders because as soon as you put that uniform on, and to me it's the same for the military, law enforcement, firefighting, EMS. As soon as you put that uniform on, you lost the right to make the decision to just not be in shape, to be weak, because
Why?
what's that?
Yeah, so why?
Because their job is to protect and serve, and if my apartment is burning down, I expect that the people that are going to show up are going to be able to get to the door, get inside, and get me out and put the fire out. And I would hope that would be the same expectation that everyone has for their family and their homes of their first responders that are showing up.
So you want the best person for the job?
Absolutely.
Okay, that feels good, man. I like hearing that. So, health to you is about being a full person, being able to do your job, feel good about it, and then be mentally clear enough to handle whatever responsibilities come your way. Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're fit enough to do your job, you're probably more than fit and healthy enough to be happy in your physical activities or outside of work. I mean, a lot of things for me are work driven, but being able, I mean, just think about that. You want to be 40, 50 years old and have grandkids and you can't do anything with them because, you're not healthy. And I mean, health crosses multiple, like I said, it's physical and mental, but that's working out, that's what you eat, what you're putting in your body, how much alcohol you drink,
how much drugs
and how many drugs, what type of drugs you do,
what type of nutrients you're getting.
Absolutely. And
what your piss smells like.
I mean, that could just be the asparagus.
It could. Or it's high in protein and you need to go see a doctor.
Yeah. I usually worry more about the color.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's dark red, brown, rhabdo.
Red, you should probably call 911.
Red. If it's brown, rhabdo, bad. You overdid.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's really hard to do that.
It's pretty hard. Probably most people.
You gotta be working.
Most people probably don't even know what we're talking about.
Rhabdomyolysis, guys. Google it.
Yeah.
It turns you and your pee dark colors.
Yeah, it's but you gotta put in some serious effort to get there.
Usually the abs. But yeah, that seems kind of paramount, like health and the first responder, and you got to be able to do you and somebody else. You got to be able to pick yourself and somebody else up.
And that's the most important part to me is, if I make stupid decisions with my life, my health and fitness, and I get myself injured or killed, that's one thing. But
you have a responsibility to everyone.
Absolutely. And as firefighters, you almost never do anything as a single person. You're always working in teams of two. Almost always.
Just two guys put out a building?
What? Probably more than that.
Okay.
But I'm saying, when you split up into your little teams,
it's more than, it's like a
group. No. But I'm saying
everyone's on the truck and hanging on.
Right, but you don't send one dude inside with the hose line. You don't send one dude here and then one dude over there. It's like you send two guys over here and then you're going to send two guys do this or more. So you're always working in teams. If you get somebody else injured or killed, and it's one of your coworkers, one of your brothers or sisters, to me, that's the biggest failure, because what are those, if it's your fault, just because you weren't in shape.
Yeah, how are you supposed to live with yourself afterwards? You could have done better, but you didn't.
Right, and these are all things that are it's one thing to, you walk into a building and then the roof collapsed. Okay, can't control that. We can try to prevent that and look for signs of that. But, one thing that everybody in any job, any career, just everybody in general, one thing you have control of is your health and fitness. Nobody's... Right, but, nobody... you don't have to have a gym membership to work out.
No.
Running on the road or the sidewalk is free.
Yeah, you're right.
There's all types of...
For every excuse, there's an actual tool.
Absolutely.
You can excuse yourself out of the way of working out and being fit and healthy, especially in those fields. But at the end of the day, you are accountable to yourself and so many others, countless others. And if you are not at your best, at your peak, what are you doing there?
Well, the public expects... the public doesn't care. When they call 911, they expect a brain surgeon, that's got, they just expect that I'm going to show up and solve all their problems. And I mean, that's kind of fair. Yeah. That's why they're calling me, because they couldn't solve it a normal way, and now things have escalated and things are dangerous. But what a lot of people don't realize is I'm not a brain surgeon, but I'm trying. I don't know everything about electricity, but I'm trying to stabilize this incident until the experts on this get here. Consumers Energy shows up or whatever. But the public doesn't care, because they expect when they call 911 that things are going to get solved. And we try our hardest to do that, and that's why you have to be so prepared physically, mentally, educationally. There's a lot riding on it, and the public expects that out of us.
I'll tell you, one interesting statistic I always like to think about and reference is people in nursing homes, the majority of them cannot get up and down from the restroom. And I know you've experienced this, especially in your line of work, and falls and stuff like that. So leg strength, literal leg strength, if you cannot pick yourself up with your own two legs, you're more likely going to be in an assisted living facility, and you're more likely going to die faster. And it's so sad. It's so sad to know that there's people out there who don't want to use their legs. They don't want to squat at full depth because they think it's going to ruin their knees.
What?
In reality, they're going to die on the toilet, like Elvis.
Wait, and you know what's something that's crazy is something so again talking about like working out with no, okay, I can't afford to go to the gym. Okay, guess what? Oh, I can't afford running shoes. Guess what? I got something for you. Just talk about getting up and down. Do burpees.
Yeah.
Just do burpees. You don't even have to jump. You're simply going down to the ground,
Get down, get back
taking
up.
all your weight off, and getting back up. Literally, life is getting up and getting back. Going down and getting back up. And like that's the basic, most simple thing. You don't need any weights. You don't need any special shoes. You literally just need a place for you to lay down on the ground and get back up. And that's what is the biggest hindrance, like you said, to people, especially in nursing homes, that when they get older, is it's the first thing that starts to go. They quite often you see they're losing their physical strength and ability before their mental cognizance. They're not.
It might be mentally coherent, but as far as physically, they're withering away.
Right.
One leads to another.
Absolutely.
That's something I was thinking about the other day. Is in kind of tied with that leg strength is if you can't use your body all the way, are you even a person? Like if you can't get all the way down the ground without some assistance, like are you even a human? Like can you even be a person? Like a person is to be able to do things like touch this and move this. Like that's the human condition is meant to like pick stuff up and throw it this way. All these kind of weird movements that the body's allowed you to do. But if you can't do those, like you're not even being a full person. You're like 75% of a person.
Yeah, I guess.
I was thinking about that.
No, and I don't know where we've gone wrong. It seems like so many people are okay with
mediocrity.
Yeah, getting to that point of like, oh, somebody's just gonna take care of me. Like what? No, like I don't want somebody to have to come in and like bathe me with a sponge and wipe my ass for me.
You don't like that, Rob?
No,
it seems nice.
I want to do that. I want to wipe my own ass.
I agree, man. It's kind of humiliating.
And I mean, like
wiped.
Everybody's gonna get to that point.
Hopefully, the longer.
But it's very sad when you see people in their 50s and even 60s. Come on, like what's the average life expectancy now? I mean, it just keeps going up and up, right?
It's actually gone down the last 2 days.
Has it?
Yeah, it's actually gone down.
Well, that's saying something too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was probably excess carbohydrates in the diet and a lack of mobility.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this the other day. Like, even people that work out, mobility and flexibility is a huge neglected area amongst people that work out. Mm-hmm. So even imagine people that don't work out, how much more that's neglected. And then back to health and what we're putting on our bodies, you could eat, you can just not eat. Like the first thing I would tell people, stop drinking pop.
Yeah. Or soda.
Yeah, sorry. Soda pop, Coke.
Depends on which side of the U.S. you're in.
Wherever you're at. But stop drinking pop. Stop eating fast food all the fucking time. It's just all the time. And then to go along with that, like there's so much food in the American diet is so
trash,
sodium heavy, bad carbohydrates, processed, and like I get it, like it sucks because like sure, if you got kids and you both parents work or you're a single parent and there's not a lot of time, like it's easy to just take the short, easy way out. And I've seen that with my work. Just the schedule we work. It's in between the days that we work. There's so little time in between. If you don't get out and make some planning, it's very easy to take that easy way. Like, oh, I don't want to cook right before I go to bed, so I'm just gonna swing by here. Like, no, you gotta be disciplined, and not just take the easy way out.
It's hard for people, man. It's just, everyone's working, everyone's doing things, hustling and bustling, and they want to put the time in. Like, honestly, if you ask someone, a normal person on the street, hey, what are you doing tomorrow for dinner? You ask them, hey man, what game's on tomorrow? Oh yeah, bro, it's the Steelers.
Yeah, where are we pointing our attention and our our efficiency in things at? It's I think we're a little, and I don't know where the origin of that is. Does that start when people are kids? Is that just a learned habit? Is it just
All the above. That's my opinion. I think it's all the above. I think people, if they want to change, they will, but without a reason to change, they're not going to. And they've seen previous generations do exactly the same thing as what they're doing. And they're like, man, 70's fine, 80's fine. Nursing home at 70, I'm okay with that. And they see that example and they go, all right, yeah, I could live with that. I'll retire at 60.
yeah? It's
Nursing
just
home at
crazy. To
70,
me.
died 80.
It's just crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
that's just not. It's not okay. I don't want to live like that.
No, and I think habits and routines are paramount to longevity of health and really thinking about it and taking that extra second before you buy that meal. Go, should I have this? Is this the best thing for me? And I think honestly, if you ask yourself the questions, you'll give yourself an answer. You won't, not always you'll like that answer, but you'll give yourself an answer. Just ask questions.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's super easy to fall into a funk, and because you can be on the right track and not falling off the track, but you pick yourself back up, you get back on the right track. There's those cheat days or the falling off the wagon here and there, but like constant, am I moving forward instead of falling backwards? And and like however you want to equate that, like look at the whole, you might have a funk day, but look at the whole week. Did I do more good than bad this week to improve myself? And how can I do a little bit more good next week so I keep getting better and improving? Because nobody's perfect. Everybody's always going to fall off the wagon.
That's being a person.
Absolutely.
Fallible.
Trial and error. And you got to find what works for you, too.
Yeah, man, totally. I mean, I think we talked about this the other day, but I'm a really big proponent of the 1% rule, and not the wealthy 1%. I'm talking about just 1% improvements each day. Just one thing, 1%. That's barely anything. You have 100% in your entire day. 1% of that goes to something bettering. And you think about that long term. There's how many days in a year? 365. You fuck off 65 of those. You still got 300% increase.
Absolutely.
I mean, 100% is better than 0%. So trying 1% each time, no, it's still monumentous.
Breaking it down like that is just
Micro. Yeah, micro versus macro. It's a big thought process, and people really don't want to take the time to do that. But those people who do, I feel like they succeed better. I feel like they're fitter, healthier, and have that mental acuity, that mental prowess to go above and beyond. When they do fall off, they can get back on a lot of it easier because they've ridden that wagon for a while, and it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, man. What about fitness? Why is it important?
everything we just said.
I mean, but like fitness. I mean, you could say like your job or other stuff. I mean, why is it important to you?
To me, it's important because of my work. I don't want to let any of my coworkers down. I don't want to let the community and the public down that I serve. And I also, I don't want to be a slob.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be the best version of me that I can be because, the healthier I am, the more fit I am, I feel better. I know everyone is more mentally sharp and cognizant. The fitter we are, the mental and physical fitness is tied together, which also leads into the I don't want to be early onset dementia. When I'm 60 or something. So if I stay fit now and keep getting better and work and just it's just part of my normal life now, hopefully that's going to hold those things off longer and longer, live a longer and happier life, and not worry about little things like, am I going to be able to get up out of bed today?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to, do I have to call 911 for them to pick me up off the toilet, off the floor because I fell? I mean, and these are all things that I've seen and done.
Yeah.
Hopefully
they even fall off the toilet and call 911.
Well, I haven't, but I've had to respond to those.
Okay, on the opposite side.
Right. And that's That's kind of the thing that sucks about public safety work is you always see people at their worst and their lowest, and the worst people
At
so
the
it's-
worst and lowest.
yeah.
That sucks, man.
But
Would you say
it's-
that they're mostly physically fit, the people that you encounter on a daily basis?
like the public?
Yeah, the public, man.
No.
Would you say that they're physically fit?
No.
Okay. So you said that health's in decline?
Yes.
Dang.
And again, remember, I'm only dealing with a small percentage.
Oh, yeah,
of
for sure.
people.
I mean, this is your perspective, sir. I mean, like, each person has their own perspective. If you live in a town of 100, that's your reference point.
Right, but like, let's just look at it strictly from like the EMS standpoint. I mean, the people that are, for the most part, the people that are calling you are the people who are already in poor physical fitness, and that's why they're having all their medical problems. So naturally, most of the people that EMS providers see are people who are in declining health. Because a healthy individual doesn't need to call 911 because I'm not having a heart attack. I'm not stuck between the toilet and the counter. I mean, it's not funny because it actually happens, and it's very sad.
I can imagine it. That's why it sucks, man.
But even from the law enforcement standpoint, you know, a large number of people that I encounter are, you know, homeless, or they're on, you know, you can tell they're on drugs, or they're just, you know, they're drinking all the time, and you just see the state of people. You know, I have a lot of people I wouldn't say are physically fit, and then even the people who aren't in that category are, you know, like they're the victim of a theft or something. You know, there's so much obesity in the United States, and like we talked about, it's linked back to the diet and the type of food we're intaking. And you kind of know where everything's trending, and you know, you hope people make some priorities and get better for themselves, because I think everybody, those 1%, everybody getting better, that makes your entire community and society better too. Because, you know, what happens when the obesity rate increases? We have an increase in cardiovascular issues and
All-cause mortality.
you know, diabetic issues, higher mortality rate. So what does that do on the EMS side? Well, now we have more people that are out of shape and obese, which means there's a higher need for EMS, which means that there's more demand. Like, we have to pay more to provide these services, which means there's more taxes being levied,
And
because you got to pay for all these things.
Yeah, what, special bariatric everything?
Right, and you know, whether it's municipal funded or provided, or private EMS, or now the EMS bills are going up if it's not tax funded. I mean, all these things are going up, and now they have to call the fire department more often because we have more 300 plus pound patients.
They have to get.
So now the fire department is more tied up on these calls, and you know, so the fire department's going to more calls, and now they need more people to cover more things. Because people are talking about defunding the police or any other public sector work. Calls for service are continually the population is increasing, and health and wellness is going down, and there are more calls for service constantly. You cannot solve that by having less first responders. You know, you don't solve. You know, we have 20. You know, this ambulance can handle 20 calls a day or whatever it is. You know, you don't solve that by, okay, well, tomorrow we're gonna have 30, but we're only gonna staff, you know, half the amount of ambulances on, you know, to cover the same. Like, you cannot do more with less. It does not work. You cannot do more with less. And it's the same thing. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but it's the same thing with law enforcement.
Sure.
They talk about defunding the police, and again, new law enforcement officer.
You're not a proponent?
I'm not a proponent of defunding the police now.
Would you say that all of the money being funded to the police is adequately being used?
That's a tough question.
I
I think so, because
Okay.
from what I see, there's not enough money. They want to defund the police and take things away, but they want us to be better. They also want the police that are still here to be better officers. Well, how do you have better officers when there's no time for training?
Yeah.
How do you have training when there's no money for training? How am I a better officer if I have to sprint around the city going to 100 different calls and I'm only giving half my attention to every single one of them versus you have a decreased workload and you're able to give more attention and more direction into each individual call. So adequate staffing covers not just law enforcement, but like I said, EMS and firefighting, and I'm sure so many other jobs. But adequate staffing, because we can't predict. It's not like a factory where we know, okay, we got to make 100,000 of these parts. Like, I don't know how many calls are going to come out tomorrow, so it's hard.
Accidents happen.
Right. You don't know how many people are going to get robbed tomorrow.
Just factor in some accidents tomorrow.
Right. So we're working off averages, but yeah, having a better police force is having a better trained force, which means you have to put more money into it, and you have to have more officers, because burnout in public safety type jobs is a real thing.
As we've seen recent people and the burnout and those mental declines and having made wrong decisions. We've all been privy to those lately.
Absolutely. And I don't think you're going to find anyone else that is a bigger proponent for policing the police when it comes to somebody did something wrong and like they need to face. They absolutely. I'm not out here trying to say that they need to no, we're just going to sweep that under the rug. Absolutely not. Nobody gets to hide from the law. Everybody's bound to the same law.
Now, if the law needs to be changed, change it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. People a lot of people don't like police officers on scenes because of what we're enforcing. I don't make police. The police don't make the laws. We're bound to enforce them though. So if there's certain laws and things people have to go talk to the representatives and levy and lobby for for that type of change.
Yeah, what I think is interesting in the current climate is people are seeing the type of laws that are enacted and are in place, and I think there's room for improvement everywhere. There's many things and many standards and practices that are completely different across the board in the entire United States. I mean, I'm guaranteed you've had a couple different firefighter jobs, and those are different, right?
Absolutely, and all whether it's geographically or just because we're in different states or different regions of the country, municipalities are different. Every city and township and county all has different needs and have different problems. So where my city might have an ordinance on one thing, a city in northern Michigan may not have an ordinance on that because it's not a recurring issue that they face all the time. So every place is different, because I said this the other day. I don't think most people actually, even the people that are out there I know the laws and I understand that. I don't think most people really do. I think there's a select few of people.
Lawyers,
that actually, yeah, and even lawyers are.
Well, I mean, lawyers are experts at evading the law and making it subject to question value.
It's true.
Yeah, so
it's so hard for there to not be loopholes in things.
Yeah, but I mean, by and large, you're out there facing the law and you're being the law and you're trying to lay it down, right? And that's hard to do. It's hard to do for anybody. And in having, a cognitive decline or not being physically fit, those things can make a huge difference. Whether you do your job correctly or you do your job okay, or you don't do your job at all.
Absolutely.
Dang, dude. I'm trying to think, man. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting police work?
They're thinking about getting into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do your research.
Okay.
Know what you're looking for, what you're looking to get into. Know that it's, especially right now, it's a difficult time to get into because public opinion, decline of opinion for law enforcement right now. Know the community. You think every community has different issues and different problems and different advantages. So do the research, understand all the steps of the process, and the big thing is knowing that once you get done with the police academy, that's not it. When you get done with the police academy, you don't know anything. You're just like, oh. The best thing out there is a good FTO program. But even after that's done, So that's field training. Even after that's done, it's going to be continued learning because laws are always changing. How police departments work are always changing. Your interaction with the community is always going to be changing. So always staying. You can't just learn.
Stay ahead.
Yeah, you can't just learn it and then that's it. It's good. It's not always going to be there. It's good. It's going to constantly change. So understanding that and knowing, you're going to have 25, 30 years of learning. Nice. Always learning.
Always learning.
And
it's a good thing.
If you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Oh, that makes sense, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it makes sense. I mean, especially if everything is changing, are you changing with it? Yeah, man, that's good. That's a good thought there. Let's see. I don't know, man. Throw something out there. What are you thinking about?
Life is hard.
Life is hard, man.
I don't know. That's why you gotta work hard. You gotta keep pushing. There's always gonna be struggles. It could be work, career, personal life, medical issues, family. It could be so many different things. But you gotta keep pushing. Things aren't always gonna be the way they are right now. So if things are bad, they're gonna get better. But things aren't just gonna fall into your lap. You gotta work for stuff. You gotta set yourself up for success. And that's back to the goals we talked about.
Yeah, man.
In physical fitness, you gotta make.
Yeah, this last part I just want to dedicate to just talking about muscle ups, man.
Muscle ups, all right. Well, let's talk. Since you mentioned that, give a little insight into setting goals and working hard.
Yeah.
So I went to Europe in 2018 with the National Guard. We didn't do crap, so it was no good.
What does Europe mean?
I was in Eastern Europe, so Romania and Bulgaria.
Okay. Just want to give a little bit.
So I went as a firefighter in the Guard, and we protected this military installation, which are all the buildings are made out of concrete and everything's sprinkled, so like fire hazard is pretty low.
Okay, so you were useless.
Pretty much.
So what did you do?
But there was a lot of time for physical fitness, and I worked out more there than I ever did anywhere else, and it was great. And I absolutely had the time to make goals and get those little progressive things. So one of the goals I had, I started out with I think it was handstands. I was trying to get better at handstands and handstand push-ups, and finally I was trying to do handstand walking, and I was just on this one of those fighting pads, and it'd be in the gym, and I was just going upside down and just falling over and over and over.
How many times did you hit your face?
I don't think I hit my face at all, but it's just falling over a lot, trying to find your balance, and eventually I got it, and I started getting better and better, and I kept doing it. And then one of my next goals was I was like, I want to do a muscle up, because we didn't talk about it, but I think CrossFit is a great option for working out.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for everybody, but it
can be.
It can be. It's very scalable. Just because you can't do all the crazy things they're doing in the CrossFit games, that's fine. I can't either.
The CrossFit games is not CrossFit.
That's like
Greg Glassman.
That's like the very, very peak.
Yeah, that is the things. Pinnacle. That is the special forces. That is the best of the best.
Yeah, yeah. You go to, and I'm sure people see it's very intimidating. It's not like that when you go to a CrossFit gym.
No,
box.
Totally different. Everyone's there.
So I started working on trying to do muscle ups, and it was just kind of a mess, and so I couldn't do them, and I started doing a lot of chest to bar pull ups. So you're pulling higher. And it was shortly after I came back from Europe. It was a couple of weeks. I got a little bit of coaching at the gym in my hometown, and then I did my first muscle up. I was like, that is so cool. And then I was like, oh, I didn't just do it once, and I'm gonna have it forever, because no, you lose it.
You do.
And so trying to chain muscle ups together and tearing your hands, it's always fun.
So you good at bar muscle ups now?
I haven't done one in a long time because.
But you were good.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever done ring muscle ups?
I have, and those are a lot different.
Oh yeah.
I have not done a whole lot of ring work, period. I need to do more of it. But yeah, I was able to get some ring muscle ups, but I wasn't like chaining them together. But that was right before I left the last gym I was at. That was one of the things I was working on, was trying to progress from the bar muscle up to a ring muscle up. Because that,
It's really different.
yeah. Well, back to, that's more of a gymnastic movement, but gymnastics goes along with what we were talking about with flexibility and mobility. That is so much like a friend of mine. I worked out with her, and at the end, she's like, "Well, let's do some yoga." I was like, "Oh, I hate yoga." But then I was like, I don't ever do this type of stuff. I mean, I like stretch and do some mobility stuff, but like yoga I know it's good. Is good for you. But again, even people that work out generally don't do enough mobility and flexibility and stretching, so it is very important.
So she did some yoga and changed the world.
I mean, there was a couple things I'd never done there before. Kind of made my hamstring really tight, but I need to do more of it.
I did some this morning. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Opened up my hips.
Do you get like the nice like music going on?
Yeah, well, that comes with the things.
Oh, what do you even do with the yoga blocks?
Yoga block? Oh, it's to like set yourself up to like, if you can't reach something, it's in the way to like help it out. Because sometimes if you go full into a stretch and you're trying to like touch the ground with your head, you're doing some like weird position. There's a lot of leeway in there, and like you can deepen that stretch too fast, and so you want to have that block in there to hold yourself up, so you don't overly stretch your muscle immediately. So you want to ease into it, not just try to break yourself. So that's what yoga blocks for, man. Honestly, man, I really think of muscle ups as one thing. Muscle ups save lives.
Yeah.
Muscle ups save lives, man. You ever seen movies? Think about movies, man. Bad guys always are like, chasing somebody, and the good guys falling off a cliff.
Right, they gotta pull themselves
dangling
up
there. A real one that comes into mind. I was telling my wife about this. Her favorite movie is Lord of the Rings. And we were watching that the other day, and then Gandalf, his old ass, was fighting the Balrog.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Down in the mines of Moria.
Yeah. So he was in the mines, and the bridge broke, and he grabbed on. He's like, "Fly, you fools!" Instead of muscle up, get the hell out of there with the rest of them. No, he couldn't hold himself up, so he just let go.
That's a very good point, because being able to get up and over things, especially
buildings,
right, military, public safety type stuff, is very important. And there's actually, you mentioned that, I've seen a video. I'm not sure what fire department it is, but it's in France, and every day when you show up to your shift, you have to put your turnout gear on.
The heavy shit, right?
Yeah, it's just the turnout gear. There's no air pack on, but you're adding, probably 30 some pounds.
It's the big yellow suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a ledge, and you have to get up. Like, you have to like jump up and grab it, and you have to get up on it. Like, so you essentially have to do a muscle up with another 35 pounds of gear on. And if you can't do it, then you have to go home.
Damn.
So
I like that.
Yeah. And what's up?
That's a gate. That's a gate to access, right? You gotta.
Yeah. There's so much. I could go on a tangent about this.
Yeah, let's go.
Because something that burns me is a lot of police and fire departments don't have recurring annual physical fitness tests. And it's the one point of contention I have with a lot of the unions, because they're worried about protecting the membership, and I'm fine with that, but at the same time, aren't you protecting the membership of your union more by making sure that your coworkers are fit for duty?
Right.
And
that's definitely a term. Fit for duty.
And again, that in itself, if we're encouraging healthy and more fit coworkers, then they're going to make it to retirement. Especially if you work somewhere that has a pension, or like they have to work longer and they don't have a pension. They're going to make it to retirement and then still be healthy enough to enjoy retirement instead of just working until they die.
Yeah.
Or dying
before that.
Right. Like they
die
die before
retirement.
they even intend to retire.
Yeah,
Which happens a lot. And if you look at the statistics, the average like life expectancy of a police officer after retirement is like 5 to 10 years.
What?
Yes.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
What's the cost?
So I think
Don't tell me it's suicide, bro.
suicide rate amongst first responders is relatively high.
Okay.
Divorce rates amongst first
I can
responders is
only
very
imagine.
high.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it has to do with people's bodies get beat up, and then they get lazy and tired of taking care of them, so their fitness declines. And I don't know the numbers,
No,
statistics
yeah.
to be sure, but I think also a part of it too is when you've done something for so long. I think it's the same as a lot of guys talk about, like why it's difficult to get out of the military and just transition to the civilian world.
Sense of purpose.
Sense of purpose. You've done one thing, and then now you don't know how to adjust, and you don't know what to do. So I think that's a big part of it, and that's something for new officers, any officer, I would like, hey, think about this. Do you have friends that are not cops? Or do you have friends that are not military? Do you do things outside of what are you going to do when you retire? Are you going to still work? Do you just like to work and you're going to work somewhere else that makes you happy? Are you going to go travel the world with your wife? Or whatever. Or travel the world and find a wife? I don't know.
That'd be you, sir. I'm already hooked up. No, man, I really do appreciate law enforcement officers, and I was very, very I don't know, I was very blessed to find a CrossFit gym in San Diego where I used to live, and there was so many police officers that went. I'm just going to keep talking. Anyways, so there's so many police officers that went, and I had so many good experiences with them, and that's really hard for a lot of people, is because they don't get that good experience with the police officer, and setting is so important. Like you were telling earlier, is if you only deal with people like yourself in the worst scenario and you're at your worst day, like what do you expect? You're gonna be judging everything a little bit differently, and I see and I always had great interactions with the law enforcement and homeland security people, and everyone military would always go to a CrossFit gym because it seemed like a place of higher learning for people who had hard lives, and so it was like a physical learning place.
Yeah.
And everyone went there, and everyone suffered equally, and they came out better people, and everyone recognized that in each other, and that's something to me that I really like to see with law enforcement people, is like them trying so hard, and I see that personally. I'm like, man, if I see them working this hard in the gym for themselves, I can only imagine what they're doing out there in the public, and to me that brings joy in my heart, because I see real sense of accomplishment, probably tears in my eyes, because I love accomplishments. I love people who get their goals and take that win, not take that L to the face. If they do, I hope they learn something from that.
Right. I mean, you get knocked down and you get back up again.
Yeah.
And you get the W tomorrow.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely.
Damn, bro. This has been awesome. I hope the video turns out.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, bro, it's going to be again. We're going to do it the right way this time. It seems like a recurring thing of I can't get my camera figured out, but it's going to work out.
Just get back up, get the W
Yeah,
tomorrow.
dude, it's fine, bro. I'll take the W next time.